So we have a 6:30 morning mass. And the Lord invited me into that super specifically last year. It involved me. No, this was 2021. I can't even remember what year it is anymore. Do you ever think like, wait, what year is it?
And I also forget how old I am.
Okay, yeah.
And how old my kids are, but that's always been the case.
Yeah, it gets tricky. But I had this moment. Our church was under construction.
All right.
I'll tell you a quick story. And oh my gosh, I was pregnant in 2020. So I was pregnant from January to the end of September. So most of 2020 I was pregnant. And being kept from the Eucharist was one of the hardest things I've ever been through. Like the Eucharist gets me through every day of my life, you know, when I'm able to go to daily mass, of course. But just not having that as the spiritual food that I needed to get through pregnancy during such a time of difficulty, especially in California. It was just so hard. It was so hard. And so I showed up, it was the middle of 2021, and I showed up at my parish and they were doing construction, kind of off. They were like building a new building. And there was a sign on the door that said, the church will not be open for personal prayer again until 2022. That was like 7 months away. And I lost it. I was sobbing like a child outside of the church. I had felt so abandoned and so, I don't know, just lost without the Eucharist. And I just went there to pray. And one afternoon I was like, oh my gosh, like the whole pandemic thing is over and the church is back up and they're not even going to let, they're here on site. Like they're in the offices. There's no reason for them not to open. And I just felt so continually kept from the Lord. And so it was this beautiful thing. I drove to parishes around. I called my husband and I was just sobbing. I was like, what do I do? What do I do? I just want to see the Lord. I just want to be with him. And he told me to go to a different church. And I finally found a church that was open. It was the middle of the summer. And the air conditioning was on. And I went and I prayed and it was so beautiful. The sound of an air conditioning reminds me of the Lord's love. Have you ever thought about what the love of God sounds like to you?
No.
The love of God sounds like an air conditioning turning on to me, because when I was at Arizona State University and I was a young Catholic woman trying to live my faith, I would go to the chapel there and it's 120 degrees and the air conditioning would kick on and it would kick on and it would kick on again. And I didn't even realize what the love of the Lord sounded like to me until I was in that basilica on that day where I had this meltdown. And I was like, oh my gosh, I felt so consoled by the sound of this air conditioning. The Lord was like, I'm here. I love you. And he had told me the same thing with that kick on in the air conditioning when I was 18. And he was like, I'm here and I love you. And I know you're so lonely and I know this is so hard, but we're in this together. So I never thought about it that way. And later on that day, I just thinking about the air conditioning, and the Lord's like, I want you to, I felt him really say, I want you to go to daily mass at that church. And I was like, okay. So I looked it up and 6:30 was the only one. And I laughed. I was like, Lord, please, no way. My sons are horrible sleepers. I was like, there's just no way. And he's like, in the same, just that invitation, he's like, I'm going to invite you to do it. You don't have to, but I want to invite you.
And not in a passive aggressive way.
Totally.
Whereas if you don't do it.
Totally. In a way of love.
Like when my wife last night went, if you could take the air conditioning units out of the windows, that would be a really great thing.
Yeah.
I know what she meant was, I really need this to happen.
Totally.
There was no freedom.
Right. She's like, you're going to do it. But you don't say you're going to do it, but you're like, you're just going to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a wife to a husband. That's for sure. So long story short, I began going to that, and it really has brought this revival to my heart and my life post, pandemic, post 2020, having my baby and everything like that. And so those times are very important to me, because during the day, I'm a stay-at-home mom. I'm with the boys. We go out on adventures and things like that. So having that time in the morning with the Lord, just rededicating everything to him again and again, has been key. And then continual discernment, just asking the Lord, being in conversation with the Lord all the time. Well, Lord, what do you want me to share about? What do you want me to say? And really leaning into that again and again and again and again and again.
A lot of what happened throughout the pandemic was a response of anger on the part of the faithful, and it may be justified, but how did it not turn into that for you? Why did you not just turn on YouTube and blast the bishops?
Because I was just so sad. I was too sad. Being pregnant, it was just hard. I didn't even have the energy to get to a place of anger.
Yeah.
You know, like anger takes a lot of energy. You gotta let it stir within you. And I was just too sad. I just felt too forgotten. I felt too, I don't know. I just felt too lonely in that sense. I had my husband. He was so supportive and so loving. But yeah, I was too sad. I was really too sad.
Thanks so much for watching. Please like if you liked, and if you loved, subscribe.